Zimbabwe's Citizens Coalition for Change, CCC, self-proclaimed Secretary General Sengezo Tshabangu has vowed to bring incarcerated opposition member Job Sikhala out of prison. Now, this is as he blamed top leadership of the party led by Nelson Chamisa for failing the former legislator. Now, Job Sikhala has been behind bars for more than a year after being arrested for instigating violence in 2022. And of course, numerous efforts to bring him out and get bail for the outspoken opposition member have been futile, with the courts denying him numerous times.
In an interview on Saturday, Sengezo Tshabangu said he is dispatching a delegation from CCC to negotiate the release of Sikhala, whom he said needs a political solution for his release. He added that he's courting the regional body Southern African Development Community (SADC) over Sikhala's incarceration. Meanwhile, Nelson Chamisa says that the party has written to the SADC and the African Union, all to no avail. We're joined this morning by the chairperson of Crisis in Zimbabwe Coalition, Peter Gift Mutasa. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning and thank you for inviting me.
It's been over 500 days of Sikhala's incarceration, and we'd like to find out exactly. We've heard that letters have been written to the AU and all to no avail. So what are the possible options? And you know, is there hope that he'll be out of custody in the nearest future?
Yeah, it's very difficult to tell because we are dealing with a regime that have done worse atrocities to political opponents before. Soon after independence, the same people who are in power today, President Mnangagwa and much of his lieutenants, were responsible when he was State Security Minister of imprisoning political prisoners like Lookout Masuku, who belonged to the other revolutionary party that also fought for the liberation struggle. And they made sure that they came out of the prison as soon as they came out of the prison, they then died because of the treatment that they were receiving in jail. So we are dealing with an erratic regime that is brutal, that does violate human rights brazenly. So we can't tell where we are going. But what we can control is to continue to do more advocacy at international level. I think a lot of organizations are coming out. Recently, the Amnesty International Deputy Director for Eastern Southern Africa wrote that Job Sikhala's prolonged detention while he awaits trial is a gross miscarriage of justice and an indictment of Zimbabwe's judicial system. So we also have the International Parliamentarian Union also coming on board and deciding to send a mission to Zimbabwe. We need more voices. We need the African Union to also come on board. We need the regional organization, SADC, to come on board. But we must also maybe probably look at the potential and feasibility of using international law and taking some of our grievances to the platforms, to such platforms at the international stage.
Okay, well, I also want to know, you know, there seems to be, and I might be wrong, but there seems to be, you know, friction within the CCC. You know, can you clarify if the CCC is still united? And Nelson Chamisa is being blamed, like just what we shared just now, being blamed for abandoning Sikhala in prison. So are there fractions within the CCC, and is this going to affect the unity of the party going forward? Is this also going to affect maybe even Sikhala's chances of being released from prison?
So, like any political organization, there are bound to be some disagreements and there are bound to be some degree of friction. But I think the current narrative is being overplayed by the regime, by ZANU-PF and the government. They are using propaganda to try and decimate the Triple C. Remember, this Triple C came out of a sad situation where the ruling party literally took over the Movement for Democratic Change Alliance, which was led by Nelson Chamisa, and handed it over to its puppet, Douglas Monzora. And we are witnessing the same thing happening, where the ruling party is attempting to decimate and to take away Triple C and hand it over to another puppet, in this case, Tshabangu. So there are frictions, not as usual frictions in any party in Triple C, but I think there is interference. The ruling party is trying to interfere to co-opt some of people who are in Triple C, or some of people it purposefully used to infiltrate Triple C. But I don't think it has got much impact in terms of Nelson Chamisa's credentials as the bona fide opposition leader. He still enjoys massive support, and I think, in my view, is also benefiting from sympathies favoring him out of the persecution that he's facing. But what the regime is doing is going on an all-out warfare, lawfare, where it is using the legal system, it is using parliamentary system, it is using the massive state machinery to try and decimate the opposition. But what I think will happen is a replay of what happened with the Movement for Democratic Change Alliance, where the ZANU-PF puppet remained holding on to the party name, party resources, and probably state funding. But all people and all voters would move to Nelson Chamisa and whatever vehicle he may be using. It is a retrogressive process, because it means rebuilding again the movement. But I think that is normal with any such struggle where you are fighting an entrenched dictatorship. As for the Job Sikhala matter, I think the regime is simply using propaganda again. It is the regime that imprisoned Sikhala. It is the regime that is interfering with judicial systems. It has captured the judiciary. What we are witnessing with Sikhala is unprecedented in modern day democracies. We last saw it during the early 80s, when the same regime was fighting another opposition, ZAPU. So the regime cannot shift the blame to Nelson Chamisa. Nelson Chamisa has tried to go to visit Job Sikhala many times. He has been prevented, but many other people are allowed, including the regime's puppets. So we must put our focus on the regime and not divert, and not allow it to divert our attention to blame the victims. Nelson Chamisa and Triple C are victims. This matter must be resolved through the judiciary. There is no need for political interference. The Constitution of Zimbabwe, in terms of Section 50, grants every Zimbabwean the right to bail. And Job Sikhala is qualified to get bail because he is not running away from law. He has never run away from law. He has been in court for more than 60 charges and has been acquitted in all cases.
Wow.
All right. On a final note, let's talk about the judiciary and what's happened. Him being in prison or in detention for over 500 days and detained in Harare. That is also very telling of the judicial system in Zimbabwe.
The judiciary and any other state institution have been captured. The Constitution, in my view, has been suspended. All the constitutional rights and freedoms of citizens have been taken away. So we are supposed to understand that soon after the November 2017 military coup, Zimbabwe is now a military dictatorship. All the other processes, democratic processes like elections that are manipulated, that are interfered with, are just a cover to try and put up a facade of a civilian rule. But we all know that there is an announced but already operational military law, martial law that is in place. We can no longer go on protest. We can't even strike. Workers can't strike without police interference. There is a total military rule in Zimbabwe, and the judiciary is dysfunctional. I think the main victim of the military rule is the judiciary that has lost any trust that Zimbabweans had in it, and the judiciary that is openly playing to the gallery and to the tune of the military junta.
Well, it's a whole lot, to unpack, over there. And of course, the existence of a strong opposition party is very, very important in Zimbabwe. We, wish the CCC luck. We would look forward to speaking with you again. And we hope that there's better news when next we speak.
Thank you. Zimbabweans continue to fight for freedom, and we hope all Africans and everyone around the globe will also render solidarity to us in our difficult moment.
Absolutely.